Hey y'all, it's Parker here with an episode of The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 2 Resolve. I think this is part 7. And yeah, I think we're going to the Summation Examination. Okay. Oh wow, it's been a while. I think it's been like a week? A week? Yeah, I think it's been a week since I played this game, so I'm like still trying to like process what happened. Alright. Yeah. Okay, I think this is the second summation examination they're going through. Hopefully my memory comes back. But never mind. No, you really should mind. The truth is, our counter argument wasn't as unassailable as we hoped. And Mr. Shancer was poisoned, there can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shancer is actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court and controvertibly, but that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it though, Mr. Natsume will be found guilty. No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to move my mic to the right a little. Alright, I think I'm good to go.
Hold it!
I'll just listen to the banger theme meanwhile.
Hold it! Hold it!
Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man. Well, it's certainly true that poison is prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. Da! You're right, I hadn't considered that at all. Young lawyer man. Yes? You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative. Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past. I'm just gonna press everyone, get more information. Can we please refrain for all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it out of my— I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. Haha, get it? Buzzing. Oh, I've heard about our wonderful fields of explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the nuclear gas is deplorable. My point exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madame? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was suspecting. We generate gas and deliver it to our customers fair and square. Indeed, no one is questioning that, madame. Ultimate is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible? Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes, but these devious superbeds secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Oh. Then they make a contract with the houses supplied by those pipes and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas to their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit customers' houses to collect the money for the meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to his tricks. What? Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that juror number 3? Oh, jolly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you is saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled up about it recently, you see. Go on? An ultimate gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask for cooperation when I carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouse of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets here. Oh, please, everybody knows, but it was nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipes, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why I have teams of workers going on neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker came to my house didn't know strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then wait, you mean? That's right, the lights didn't just flicker, they went out. Along with the stove, gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? He said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Wasn't there a bunch of handprints like around the lamp? So did Shancer do the same shit to the lamp? Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps, yes, this almost certainly could have been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like, I don't mind. Well, I do! Oops. Like I said, madame, it's widely known already, my voice just cracked. Very well, juror number 3, amend your statement accordingly. Yes, my lord, although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. You mean it's poison? That's right, it happened a teeny few times now. This is most troubling indeed. It's always tapes like this when I don't get any wages. I get it at tea time, see? And I see her doing it. My wife. She gets a devilish look on her face and she slips some white powder into my cup. And you drink it anyway? I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it. Even though it's poison? And what happened to you? What did it taste like? It was god awful, believe you me. Salty as— oh, she just put a bunch of salt in her tea because she was mad at you. Then I think perhaps your wife put in your tea was salt. No, so she doesn't even carry out the poison properly, eh? Unbelievable. I mean, if it's salty, then you would assume that it's salt, would you not? Let's move on, please. Oh my god. Wait, I think I should, I don't know, press number 3 and 4 too, so I could get more information. That's true of every building, because gas supply contracts are issued for whole properties. Well, I had no idea it was possible to extinguish gas appliances simply by blowing down the pipe. It's not something we like to publicize, to be honest, but we have to carry out these investigations, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Indeed, it's been mentioned on more than one occasion in papers even. Is that so? It's been mentioned to me too, very recently. An incident involving a gas slump going out inexplicably, almost leading to someone's death. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps. Yes, I think it's finally starting to fall into place. The secret link that joins all of these strange occurrences. Alright.
Hold it!
Does it mean that the victim could be shown to have ingested something else? You change your leaning? Sorry? What's that now? Oh, I was just saying if the victim did actually eat or drink something else on the night. What's the matter with you? Oh, sorry. I said, if nothing else passed the victim's this on night, there's no other explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all? I feel just an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here. Compared to the other jurors that don't even appear to have anything to say about the case at all. It would seem that the elderly gentleman has been listening to proceedings far more intently. I suppose the trouble is he has selective hearing? Yeah, exactly, but still. This juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. This is hopeless. There's no way for me to appeal these people. I do think that the only way to overcome this difficult situation is by exposing the way in which Mr. Chancellor is really poisoned. We have to prove that happened some other way, and not via not some Miss T. Okay, I was kind of thinking of connecting juror number 3 or juror number 6. I think that's like the only way so far. I already pursued one other person though. No need. I already know what to pursue. Thank you, Susato.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious, so to whose statements do you refer, Consul? Juror number 6, did you hear what juror number 3 just said? What? Yes, of course, I heard her mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides what Miss T did, in a manner of speaking, passed the victim's lips on the night in question. What? What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouths of the gas pipe feeding the walleye at the scene? To see if there are any traces of poison there. I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time, but the mouths of gas pipe Scotland have enough to do without exploring just such irrelevance. Well, it's relevant here. What a piece of work is a man! What are you trying to say, Mr. Shazir? What speakest thou? Pretty is not strange and strange. That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The starshine could have been your mouse on the mouse of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came into your body. Good lord. I mean, there was like a bunch of handprints like on the wall. Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying? Or is it the gentleman suggesting that a poor man was so desperately hungry he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him. For shame, madame, speaking thy fancy. I assure you I'm not such a buffoon that would kiss pipes.
Objection!
This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. Why not? I think that's a plausible explanation of what happened. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. Well, he had a box on the wall. He could go to the lamp. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say. I do have evidence. It's true, I have no proof that Mr. Chancellor put his lips to the pipe, However, I could say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Chancellor is doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you got our attention, lad. I like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence then. Now that I got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is to prove that, time and time again, Mr. Chancellor stood in front of his gas lamp. The fingerprints, the handprints. What the? These are, wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene. Skin prints? Council had never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lords, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It reveals all the places Mr. Chancellor touched in his room. I never see anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? No, it's science. Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's a great Holmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs is quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect, on the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Chancellor also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in the room. For example, here. Around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible. Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork perhaps? I mean, no. At first, my colleagues and I thought the same, however. Imagine standing your hands where those prints are, and would you find yourself directly in front of... I don't believe it. The gas slump. Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shakespeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of the lamp. Right, what have you been up to, you nut? I'd asked the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe made the lights in the entire building flicker, and now if you recall juror number 3's statement... What, me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force to the pipe, it caused all the lights in the gas stove to go out and get to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously that incident was an accident, however the simple fact is... If Mr. Chancellor were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in this room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building alone. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposely caused the gas to... Well, I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination. I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this normalizing? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints, clearly this cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case. But this exciting new forensic technique developed by a great detective. It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. I mean, how do you explain the picture then? Certainly even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Holmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But... Please, my lord, if I may. Mrs. Otto? It was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And, if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind those mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen. I'm sure the jurors would agree. You're right! Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3. Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sounds absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what the shady actor fellow has to say about the shady handprints. What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? I don't like to break a promise. No, wait, you heard his lordship. It's blah, blah, blah. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. It's just one more jury changes his or her mind. Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue. Thank you, Mrs. Sato, but I couldn't have done it without you. Oh no, it's you who identified the clue after all. Whoops. This is very much your success. He's sweating very profusely now. Why, Mr. Shasuri, you seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it. Very well. Continue, console. Alright, I guess they're continuing. Okay, I was just like, yeah, I should press this guy again because I got new information. What, your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself. The numerous hampers on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And then Mr. Shazardine put his mouse to the gas pipe on the night in question. It can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that's playing on my mind. And you know what? Like, consuming gas like that, like, if that could kill you. Just saying. But as the prosecution rightly says, you should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides, yes? Even if the fellow had been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozen times before, it doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If we can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance. You do make a very valid point, sir. What? That's true. Perhaps it was a little hasty. No, wait! Look, you got a chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. Oh no. If you're in a Japanese course can't, that is. Just leave her nationality out of this, please. Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid that the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shakespeare really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? Okay, let's see. The options are I can't prove it, but like I feel like that would unravel all the evidence that we just like went through. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I can present evidence. I have supporting testimony. Okay, I'm pretty sure, like if I remember correctly, Soseki-san was like, someone tried to kill me, so I'm wondering if we could ask Soseki-san to talk. No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory, however. There's witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? This is incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person's testimony revealed details about the gas in the guarded residence that night. Namely, Soseki Natsume. Wow, she's like 38. Okay, anyway. Soseki-san. Obviously, and talk about the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. My lodgings! There's a whole serious stage happening to my lodgings! Oh yeah, he did say all that, and then everyone just ignored it. Somebody tried to kill me! Yeah, like just his stove went out. On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not? Good jolly! So that Shassy's fellow blew air into the gas to make this man's stove go out on purpose? Now hold our horses there. What would he do that for? To kill him. Mr. Foreman, what is it, man? We cannot allow judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet, however. You must surely agree, there's more to this case than meets the eye. Fair enough. Like I said on the outset, I'm a man of logic first and foremost. Alright. We got it. That's 4 jurors leaning towards not guilty, my lord. We overturn the decision. Therefore, the deepest calls for the trial to continue. As the defense is rightfully indicated, the summation examination is concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now called guilty, 4 now called not guilty. Therefore, the jurors' opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shakespeare, my lord, how can thy humble service serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do solemnly swear, I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your hampers have made a titty mace all over the whoops a wall there. How do you explain that, eh? I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been soiled enough already. Juror number 5. Who, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print for the self-professed detective's toy has no place in the British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas slump with his hands against the wall remains, at this time, unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Objection.
But the prosecution must concede that it will be extremely simple to verify. Just order the blast of the gas by feeding the lamp and Mr. Chance's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there, what appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, we had to see what could possibly have Paul motivated the man to do as he described. Why on earth would this fellow would have wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived? Because he wanted to kill Soseki. There's only one possibility I could think of, but that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Order! Order! Counsel! Precisely whose life do you propose this man is plotting to end? The answer couldn't be simpler. Now I've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shakespeare wanted to end the life of... I mean, he wanted to end Soseki's life, right? I mean... Yeah, like... like he knew Soseki lived there. Like he was literally Soseki's neighbor. If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around these parts myself, knowing what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You freeze to death in no time. Mr. Gardner, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his place of residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shakespeare is trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Notsmith isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious!
Objection!
The accused is actually the aggrieved? Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of this case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How could you still claim that? Let us indulge your fantasies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison in the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. Huh, wonder if it was Olive. If the sailor were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shancer's murderous designs? Because Olive Green's boyfriend, like, freaking died in similar circumstances, right? Like, the boyfriend died from the gas stove being extinguished. So she probably had a grudge against Shakespeare. Ah, you mean to suggest? Like, I guess she knew, like, Shakespeare did it. Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison in the gas pipe, and was clear retaliatory attack. Oops. Can only have been accused Mr. Soseki Natsume. Ah. No, like, what motive would Natsume have, like, against Shakespeare? Whatever Mr. Shakespeare may or may not have been contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only poison could possibly have perpetrated that attack is to accuse Mr. Natsume. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused, far from it. In fact, now the clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established. That suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Dark! How do you manage to turn around on me so rapidly? Miss Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. What advantage? Well, it was seen that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shaz's room. So I must name that person out and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. You mean, name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if you fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all. I ain't gonna go with olive green. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, is all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. Huh? What? Oh, don't you worry, you know exactly what. There's one other person who I believe could have been involved in all this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit? A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? Olive! Green! The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shazzer is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green? I do feel so I heard that name in the recent past, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman for 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident of Roche Mr. Nelson was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but here she gained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need remind the court that Mr. Shaz's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in the hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital unconscious, so on the face of it was seen that she couldn't possibly be responsible, but still. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in the hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious, she had poison? And there's another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shakespeare. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? Eh? No, never heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shaz's face, he's totally lying. I think perhaps he generally doesn't know her, at least not by name. Huh, really? As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see, my learned Nipponese friends farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena at the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord, 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant the request. Excellent, I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say, but at the present time, the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant's culpability remains the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, consuls. You reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned. To be continued. Well, I actually gotta continue. Yeah, I still have time. Joyful, jubilant, jumping jacks! Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Arg! Herlock shows! Made you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent. I thought the tea was innocent. Oh, Mr. Scholes, you came. How wonderful. Please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says. It's very near time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. A sleep seduced me last night, I thought. Tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has beauty all of its own, does it not? Oh yes. And then I began to muse on the subject. So you're saying that you didn't sleep? Why do people oversleep? I queried. Why, time after time, did they make the same foolish blunder? Because they don't sleep enough. And the answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. No, they oversleep because they don't sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? No. Oh, yes. Upon which realization I attempted an experiment, I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results. By first sight, I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so the conclusion of last night's experiment is this: a good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already since the age of 5 maybe. What others suppose I proved by experimentation that, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. But why did you do this like now? Ah yes, and one more thing, do you remember this? Ah. Yes, of course, it's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, we didn't manage to. It was a laborious task, as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I just talk in the third person for you. Wow, I managed to confirm that it contains strychnine. Saul's right. Perhaps, though of course, such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. No, I will not do that. Okay, I'm actually gonna examine this. Alright. I can't find anything out of place. So this place we've been hearing so much about strychnine. There are a few remnants at the bottom of the bottle here, look. You must be tempted to try it. Of course not, as long as you don't lose the trial. No, even if we lose the trial. No, we must lose the trial in the first place, Mrs. Naruhodo. Make your mind up, Susan. Could I have a word? Oh, okay. Hi. Gregson, how good of you to come. Forget it, excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector! Comes back with the food. I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. For the look of your face, I see someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. I'm not here! Whoosh. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the results, Inspector? Of the investigation of Mr. Chance's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from the Zeus's newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Chance's room? A man by the name of Selden. I went through the archives at the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that, well, caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What? What, Inspector, what? I copied out the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. Oh boy. Alright, let's look at it. Okay. Investigative findings related to Selden. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder. Died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final wounds witnessed only by his cellmate. The estimated 1,000 pounds worth of loot he stole remains unrecovered. Condemned criminal dies of natural causes in prison. Manchester Strangeways prison announced the deaths of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shots of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find out what he did before his capital punishment could be carried out. Okay. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shan's room. I'll rearrange everything in court records so we don't have duplicate information. Okay, thank you. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though? Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things got handled in the proper fashion. Oh, Scotland Yard's workings is so wonderful. Indeed, my dear fellows, and the inspector here is a shining diamond in his crown. A shining diamond in the rough, maybe? Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Counsel for the thief, I said that you find it. Court proceeds by the presumed maker with your courtroom wine, blah blah blah. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all. Certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache in floods of tears personally, so the best of luck to you. Welcome, student, Mr. Narhona, Esquire! Yes, Mr. Natsume? It's time, isn't it? Yes, this is it. Our final battle. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shakespeare. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Yunosu. You have to. Alright, let's go. The final battle of case 2. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, there was starting accusation for the defense, namely that the victim in the case you heard here only a few days ago was the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, Immo, the prosecution tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer for dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment for an honorable British prosecutor, I must say. So, Lord Banzis, is the new witness present and ready to take the stand? Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Ballot, bring the witnesses in. She's painting already. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shakespeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim, to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words. I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Oh, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure, so weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose. Also currently unemployed, in other words. What a coterie. Mr. Shakespeare. My lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you're no longer merely the victim in this affair. The possibility has been raised that you're in fact the assailant, intent on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would for naught else, my lord. And Miss Green. Yes? You are aware of the reason you been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume? Yes, the officer did explain. The arrow! He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon. And? Do you accept the charge, Miss Green? I don't know anything about any poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man. Are you sure? Come, lady, die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly pea-pigmented personage. Are you sure? You two are having an argument at the hospital. Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair. It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to East End anyway. You were there. It so happens I passed by the neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And the night this man was poisoned, I was still in the hospital fighting for my life. Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in an incident at the street outside the Garda household. An incident that rendered me unconscious for some 3 days. I was struck in the middle of the back by a knife and through no fault of my own. Now I'm under suspicion. What are the irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing. Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you Mr. Shazzy's lodgings is the Briar Road incident 6 days ago. That's why. We would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened. Oh no, this is 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful accident? Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, you'll be interested to hear from me about your moves that day too, Mr. Shakespeare. Eh? But what happened 6 days has nothing to do with me being poisoned. Let's proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony in court. On such an incident that took place on Brow Road the evening of the 17th of February. Alright, witness testimony. It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the sun with Sunny stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it appeared to be just outside the house where the men in this case had their lodgings. I was at the tavern of the eve of which don't speak this, where I had bespoke my supper. It was the first time I'd been in an area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Are you sure? Are you sure it was a little matter? Anyway, I was admitted straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business. Are you sure? Yes, a second incident inside a week at what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is the most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shakespeare. 'Twas the following morning when I did awaken that I learned of the dire events. Mary, with a commission did the office of the law make on the floor above mine. Once the second son was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there was nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. Are you sure? It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here, I feel certain of it. And this is my one and only chance to expose it. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. Okay, what was this little matter? What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate. It was nothing really, it's not worth mentioning. If you remember, you mentioned to us yesterday at the hospital. It was related to the card you were holding. Oh yeah, she was holding that. What was that? From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the deaths of Duncan Ross. What does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan. Oh, do you have something to say? Mr. Shazir, do you have something to share with the court? To be or not to be, that's the question. Ah, pray forgive me, the great bar's words spring is from within me with nearer thought. Don't tell me it's because you possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Mr. Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps? Well, nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though? Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house. I would if it were so, but sadly nay. Lodgings be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me. So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in a room just one floor above yours? Miss Green. Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong? The card that was mentioned before, continue to note. Do you have it upon your person? I do, yes, but I don't need any more. It's the same color as the envelope we found in Shansi's room. Oh my god. In fact, I should throw it away, really. Before you dispose of it, the court will take its evidence, please. Oh. Alright, new evidence. It does. It does. Link the two of them together. The envelope is without open. Rather carelessly hasn't it? Miss Green's is typed to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah, what is it? The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen this exact same shape somewhere else. We sure did. Oh, you don't mean, were you thinking this piece of evidence, Miss Naruto? Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up. And they fit together. They go together perfectly. This torn off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. Dun-dun. Alright. It's Duncan Ross. Now, continue the testimony, please, Miss Green. Okay, let's press you. Are you sure you're at the tavern? A tavern, you say? Which one? 'Twas the slug and cell where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel. What do you mean, Lord Van Seeks? WDYM. The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality at least. Not an establishment you expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room. It's true, the menu lists premium crusted bread and gaseous water and different levels of cloudiness. I would have expected scrubbery, and the local vicinity to be more appropriate for beans. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather soupy water and pea like mush. How do you know? Have you eaten there? Six? All equally appetizing. I just want to try some water in different pub formats. What's wrong with that? How different can water really be? Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. He's lying. A specific reason why I had to go to that particular establishment. Agreed. The fact that on the day of all days, he dined at a place he wouldn't normally. It does stand out. So Mr. Shansi's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago are slightly suspicious. I wonder if we have some evidence that explain those actions. Present evidence? Mr. Shansi. Yes, sire. On the day in question, it's not the case that you visited Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize, for a very particular reason. I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speak us. Very well, I'll present the court evidence. Evidence that explains why I had to be a court Slug and Salad that day. Namely, I think I'm just gonna present the envelope. Maybe you were there to meet Miss Green. I believe this card reveals the answer. Good lord, Miss Green's card, you mean? That's right, my lord. It reads, I have information regarding the deaths of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Brielle Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of most importance. Mr. Shakespeare, your actions on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note. Personally, I find it hard to believe that it's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shakespeare? Well... Excuse me, can I say something? Yes, Miss Green. That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it? Well, you'd think so, yes, but it's hard to believe it's merely... My lord, may I? May you what, Miss Green? I'd like to make something very clear about that card. Very well, then you may amend your testimony to include details of that particular note. This note was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man next to me here. Are you sure? The freaking envelope was in his room. It was ripped out. I think you said they received it the day before the incident, didn't you? Yes, that's right. There appears to be no indication of the sender's name or address on the envelope. It was in my letterbox, and that's all I know, I'm afraid. I have no idea who sent it. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Who's this Duncan Ross, please? A friend of mine. He attended the same art school as I do. He passed away in a tragic accident months ago now, though. I wasn't sure what to make of that note, to be honest, but in the end, I decided to go. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's very special to you, Green. So we found out what the information was. Of course I didn't. You're not thinking straight. I mean, that's true. Okay, Will's on her way here. She'll stand in the back, as my learned friend hopefully remembers. Yes, of course. She never made it to the meeting. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you preserved Mr. Shazir wonderfully there. It's worked out well, hasn't it? We have a new coup at last. Alright, now I need to pull off a really insightful objection somewhere. Well, as you managed to expose this promising new angle, I wonder if we should perhaps try to develop that? Ah, yes, of course. And yelling out objections isn't necessarily the best way to do that, I suppose. Alright. Yep, she's right. I'm not thinking straight at the moment. Cause I'm not! Okay. Present... Torn envelope. The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. And upon carrying out the instructions in the note, you find yourself in hospital. Yes, I did. It's terrible. Everything just happened to me. Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is. What do you mean? Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's the torn off end of an envelope. Oh, is it? And it so happens that it fits perfectly, together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received. What? Where'd you find that? In Mr. Shaz's room. Eh? In my room? Mr. Shaspeare, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere? Well, your actions that afternoon involved instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad Bureau Road at 5 p.m. 17th, and so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shaspeare. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green. What did I do? As this torn off end of the envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shaz's room, so how is it that it came to be in your possession? I don't have the first idea. I'm just fudging artists after all. You're just dodging the question. There's only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shaz's room and stole it. You did what? Sorry, dollhouse what? You broke? I mean, don't worry in my room? What on earth do you want with me? It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. Miss Green. Yes? Well, we'll see how the court's sympathy, I'm sure, for the suffering of endured in recent events. Anyone found to be giving false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind. Yes, I know. Very well, the witnesses to give formal testimony again now. On the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note, Miss Green claims to proceed. Alright guys, I think that'll be it for part 7 of The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Next time, we're gonna listen to more testimony from these two. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!